Hello, my name is Benjamin Herndon, and I run and operate Farmsland Farms, which spreads over 127 acres in Robeson County, North Carolina. We want to figure out the best ways to grow food, ways that are sustainable and affordable for everyone to buy. I wanted to make this channel so that our business has a place to express the production models that we're experimenting with, and show everything that does well and show everything that doesn't go so well, and all of the things that we're trying. Hopefully I'll make one video per month, and I'll try and keep up with that record. So let's go out and see what we have on the farm, and today's video is just kind of a overview of all of the major productions that we have on. So the first place I really want to start is with our brood rabbits. These brood rabbits are raised as the mamas to make our bunnies, and we sell meat rabbits online and at chicken swaps. I know it's kind of weird selling rabbits at a chicken swap, but hey, people buy them there, I make money, and I'm happy. But they're raised for meat, and if you can see over here, they're raised up on stilts, and compost is underneath. And this is why rabbits make a great starting point for a farm, because there's all this amazing healthy soil building compost. If you dig your hands through it, most likely you'll find a worm. Sometimes here we go. See that? And when these worms come up from the soil, and they love the rabbit manure because there's so much bacteria, beneficial bacteria in the rabbit manure. Earthworms, Stu Campbell calls animals that basically are cows feeding off of bacteria, like grazing off of bacteria. So because there's so much bacteria in rabbit manure, it's a great way to attract earthworms. And when I take this and I throw it on my garden, they get into my garden and make my soil into a better place to raise plants. Male brood rabbit. Over there were our female brood rabbits. So those are the mamas, this is the daddy. He has a small little rabbit tractor that's just enough for him. We're actually experimenting with growing plants on top as a garden box. This makes it a little bit more heavy, but we're still experimenting with it. And eventually we think that this will be better, as you can get two different crops. You can get a rabbit or several different rabbits in a garden on the same square footage. And plus it moves every day, so I'm going to take this shade off. And it's not too hard to move. I have to be gentle to make sure that I don't get his feet. And that's it. Some bunnies that were just weaned 2 weeks ago, and they get moved around on pasture twice per day usually. We don't feed them anything except the pasture, and they're happy and healthy out here. The only thing we give them is water. Right here beside them, and also with this tin overlapping to provide extra shade for the bunnies, are our laying hens. We have 31 adolescent laying hens in here. If you can look down and see, they were just moved, and so they're really happy scouring the place for insects. Usually there's less mosquitoes at this side of the farm because they're here. There's 31 adolescent australorps in there, and their purpose is to fertilize the pasture along with the bunnies so that the pasture grows back really green and really thick. Well, this is our fertilizing management program. So these are our goats and our donkey. We got Loretta, Lavoisier, Petit, Guerra, and Dulce. And the main reason that they're out here is to help the grass get short so that the chickens and the rabbits that we just looked at can eat it better. Chickens and rabbits both like really short grass. The chickens especially enjoy having the low grass, and that way it's better to eat the insects like the grasshoppers and the crickets. Also, they get moved about every 2 to 5 days, depending on how thick the forage is. This paddock right here, they've been on for the past 2 days, and they'll probably get moved tomorrow. And so lastly, we're going to talk about the garden. And if I were to start a farm, I would, the second thing on my mind would be a garden behind rabbits. Rabbits and garden are just so interlocutory. The rabbits produce so much manure that is so good for the garden that they're really a good companion enterprise to get into. And like I talked before when we were at the brood does, I do use a lot of rabbit manure, well, rabbit compost in my garden. If you come over here and you look at the soil, there's a lot of mulch that has been put into this ground over the past 3 years. And when I started out, when I graduated college, it was with rabbits in a garden. If we peel back the soil, and it might not be over here because this is kind of the edge and there's an edge effect going on, to get kind of inside the garden itself. I don't know if you can see, but you start pulling back. There's times where you can pull stuff up and it almost looks like potting soil. So that's not quite the texture I'm talking about, but it's getting there. You get to where it'll clump together, but it also, you start working with it, it'll start breaking it apart. That's called good friability or good tilt. And that's what we want in the soil. Now, what we usually do when we plant our garden is we'll put down a layer of rabbit manure and then cover it up with a second layer of mulch later on that's predominantly leaves, and that gives us a better weeding management strategy. What we did this year is the goats were over this section that our peas are growing in now. We put a bunch of weeds from the pasture in that the goats never got around to eating, and they crunched them down and pooped on them, and then that turned into compost, which we spread out across our garden. And that was our weed and fertilization strategy for this year's summer garden. So that's all for now. And I'll continue to talk about my gardening philosophies later on in further videos. But until then, goodbye.